All right. It is Sunday here. We had a huge opening this weekend. Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness has came out. It's been seen by millions of people, millions of fans here domestically and worldwide, and it's time to get into figuring out how it did this weekend and what it means moving forward for both blockbusters, the Marvel, and maybe the next couple of weeks for Doctor Strange. We'll get into that here in a second more. But before I start, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been kind of stopping by the videos, watching, giving likes. If you like this content, please give a subscription. Please leave a comment down below. Make some suggestions. We're going to be doing other different type of reviews and stuff and lists and videos here the next coming weeks. We have other great movies coming out here soon. I'm looking forward to Top Gun Maverick. But I just really want to say all the people who've been supporting with views and likes. I thank you for that. I've been enjoying building this channel up little by little. So if you hear this and you're on the fence about subscribing, I just ask it. If you do, know that it means a whole lot from me, and it makes me realize that I'm putting out stuff that other people like. But without that out of the way, out of my like and subscribe pitch, the evil YouTube thing. Let's go and talk about how the Multiverse of Madness did. And we'll start off with the top five so far here domestically this weekend. And we see right off the bat the Sunday estimates, which are usually pretty reasonable, have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming in around $185 million domestically and a little bit over $450 million worldwide. It is far and away the number one movie this weekend. As you see, there isn't another movie that's within 160 some million of it. And it is a very strong, it's the biggest opening of 2022 so far. But I do think that this movie didn't have the exact weekend I personally thought it would, and I think others did as well. I know the cinema score for this movie is a B plus, and people might be, the first response might be, well, B plus for a movie is a good score. But with the way cinema score works, usually anything in the B range is kind of divisive in a way. C range means you misadvertise the movie, and D's and F's are straight up bad. But the generic movie gets about an A minus to an A, if it's compatible with audiences and it's generally well liked. So the Multiverse of Madness, due to that second act, I think for a lot of people, and as well as I think the treatment of Wanda coming out of WandaVision into this movie, I think divided some people. And with the word of mouth, I think it kind of lowered that box office threshold that I think a lot of us saw in the 200 millions. So I don't know if it came exactly to where I know it didn't come where I projected. I'm sure Disney is still elated. This is the biggest opening of 2022. It's the biggest MCU opening outside of Spider-Man: No Way Home since Endgame and Infinity War. It's one of the biggest openings for a solo a Marvel movie based on a non-Avengers character. So this was a very strong opening weekend, and already starting out at 450 million worldwide. It doesn't have very much competition the next couple weeks. There's a couple horror movies coming out next week, and then there's going to be the Downtown Abbey movie coming out the week before. But it has two more kind of full weekends to rack up a lot of money on the box office before we see Top Gun Maverick come out. So it's going to be number one for two more weekends at least. And it's going to get close to $1 billion, I imagine, by the end of the month. Definitely going to be flirting with it all through June. We'll see if it gets there. I think it will. But this movie domestically for Marvel is a big hit, and is exactly what we wanted to see in the pandemic to show that you can release these big blockbusters in this movie season. And if it has a strong fan base and it is somewhat good quality, you're going to get a good box off opening weekend overall. Coming in at number 2, 3, and 4 are just kind of the same movies, but there's one spot down with the bad guys, Sonic the Hedgehog and Fantastic Beast. Interesting to see that both bad guys and Sonic held around 40%, where Fantastic Beast, kind of having that same adult male audience, dropped a little bit more at 52%, and you kind of see that in the totals. You have both family movies a little bit over $7 and $9 million, and then Fantastic Beast is all the way down below 4. Nothing significant to report with the domestic runs. Fantastic Beasts is trying to climb its way into the $100 million domestic club. I don't know if it'll get there. I definitely don't think we're going to see it get 400 million worldwide. Definitely not the best showing for this movie overall. We'll see what they do with it in the future for the Fantastic Beasts franchise, but I think we'll get at least one more movie out of this franchise. Holding a number five spot, jumping over the Northmen, is Everything Everywhere All at Once, which lost about half of its theaters this weekend, but it was still able to only drop about that 40% like Sonic and the Bad Guys. And I think a lot of movie coming out of Multiverse of Madness will have kind of, one or two friends around them that'll be like, Everything Everywhere All at Once was just a better multiverse movie overall. So I think this movie's going to stay around here in the number five spot these next few weekends, and it's going to continue to make more and more and break above $50 million for this pretty low budget indie film by A24. Again, fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it yet and you're a fan of Doctor Strange and how this movie was, go see Everything Everywhere All at Once while it's still in theaters. It is a fantastic movie and it's one that's going to make you think and make you ponder throughout. Next, we're going to look at the 6 through 10. The Northmen had quite a big drop this weekend. It definitely lost its audience with Doctor Strange dipping under $3 million for the weekend total. It's just over 51 worldwide, just under 30 domestic. This movie is not going to make its money back here. I'm not going to say it's dead in the water, but it's probably not going to hold on to the top 10 spot for a couple more weeks. It'll be knocked out when I believe the Top Gun movie comes out, just because the ones below it are, besides Velocity, but the other movies below it are such weak dropping movies. But this is going to be number 8 or number 9 next week, I imagine. I love The Northman. Again, if you like really deep character style movies, this is a movie that with the Viking world that I think is really, really strong. You can see my review of that and all of these movies besides Memory and Bother Stew on my channel. But it is a pretty big drop for the Northmen. This was not what you wanted to see. Lost City, though, holding in the under 50%. It's almost 2 months in theaters, and it's continuing to go strong. It's trying to fight for that $100 million domestic. It pushed itself over $150 million here worldwide. Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum with Daniel Radcliffe have a mini hit here with a romantic comedy. And I know people in my family who are going to see this even today for Mother's Day. So this movie has positive word of mouth, and it's staying there. And I expect it, if it stays in theaters, to knock out the Northman next weekend and move and kind of leapfrog it in the standings. I don't know if it'll still say number 7. It'll probably move down to number 8 once we get a couple of the other movies that come out. But it's holding up strong. Another movie, though, that I think we can officially say is a huge disappointment is The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, or I like to call it the Nicolas Cage movie. It dropped 61% this weekend. Couldn't even make over $2 million. Domestically, it's about $16 million. Worldwide, it's at $20 million. I think this is damning to Nick Cage's career, and I also think this hurts Pedro Pascal. We know Pedro Pascal is a great actor, and we've seen him in movies in great roles, and even in TV shows like The Mandalorian, but he is not a box office draw to fans. And Nick Cage as well was not a big box office draw as this kind of buddy cop duo, which had pretty positive results from fans, pretty solid reviews. But people did not come to see this in the theaters. And if I'm Pedro Pascal on their team, I'm a little bit worried because, we didn't have great showing with Wonder Woman 1984. This is another movie he's leading. It did not bring in a new audience. I certainly think that maybe he has a case behind The Mandalorian and that he wants his face to be seen more so people can recognize him, because The Mandalorian, with him having his helmet on the whole time, not many people will know that Pedro Pascal plays him and what he looks like when other movies come out. I would definitely try in marketing campaigns to campaign with Pedro Pascal, that Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian, is in the movie, because it's not recognizing onto on-screen box office success, and this movie is going to struggle to make $25 million worldwide. And is honestly, again, for Nick Cage, the movie, a lot of it is talking about his acting career, if he can get back to a big box office style success. And after this movie, the answer might just be no. I love Nick Cage in his movies. I loved him in Pig last year, but there is not a Nick Cage renaissance with fans in the theater. So That's kind of the story I see with the unbearable weight of massive talent coming out of this weekend. And then Memory and Father Stu kind of rounding up that 9 and 10 spot, dropping again above 60%, having pretty small domestic totals. I think Liam Neeson with Memory, this should be the sign of studios that don't throw his movies out in theater. I don't think it's going to make it big. It's not going to make that much money, in the theater. And it's honestly something I don't know that many people are interested in seeing. The Nick Cage, the not Nick Cage, the Liam Neeson action movie overall. But that's kind of these last movies last weekend in the top 10. Like I said, next week there should be movies that come in and knock them out. But that's kind of our top 10 weekend total. Now let's go look at the couple other lists that we have, starting out with the domestic top 10 for 2022. And here we see the Batman number one temporarily. It probably only has a few more weekends of this in stock. But Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness comes out at number two for the whole entire year so far. Again, it had the biggest opening domestically so far this year, and the second biggest one of the pandemic, only behind the No Way Home movie from Marvel last winter. And it's leapfrogged all of these movies in the number two spot. Batman is kind of done with its run. It might bring up a few more $1 million, but that's about it. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is pushing on. It's starting to make a gap between it and Uncharted. It's trying to get into that $200 million range domestically that I think we're going to see a top 10 for the whole year being. So it's trying to set itself up to be on this list later on in the year. But it's had such a fantastic run for this film. Again, the Sonic movies have been the pleasantly surprised movies and have probably been the most successful movies video game adaptations. I will still say Arcane is probably the best video game adaptation over TV and movies, but Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2 showing Paramount a lot of life. And underneath it is Uncharted. It's not going to hit $150 million, but it'll stay on this list at least through halfway through summer, but it'll eventually find its way off later. Fighting again for that $100 million mark is The Lost City, another huge Paramount success. Fantastic Beasts: Secrets of Dumbledore. It's going to try and pass The Lost City for number 5 here in the next couple of weeks. I don't know if it'll get there before Top Gun comes out, because I think Top Gun, just like Doctor Strange, is gonna come out in the top 5 after its opening weekend, or else I hope it will. That movie looked great. I saw an extended preview in theaters when I went to see Multiverse of Madness, and it was honestly breathtaking. It's a movie that I even told my mom, you need to buy tickets for you and Dad when it comes out Memorial Day weekend, because this is a movie I know you'll enjoy, but this is a movie he will enjoy, which I think will say a lot. People like my dad and even my sister don't go out to see movies too often. So this is going to be, I think Top Gun Maverick will be an experience for a lot of people. But Fantastic Beasts kind of getting back on it. It's going to try and catch up to The Lost City. It's going to try to get to $100 million. We'll see if it does over the next couple weeks, but it definitely had a huge drop this week. Scream 5, again, $80 million. Great little horror film with a low budget. Did so well here domestically, did decently well worldwide. We're going to get a Scream 6 and probably Scream going on further, but that was such a breath of fresh air to start the year, I think. In a really good spot to put it in the cycle. Morbius is a huge disappointment. It's not going to catch up to Scream 5. It only has about a few more weeks on this list as movies like The Bad Guys move up. And I think we'll see some other movies potentially, move up into the $70 million range after a little while. And Dog and Jackass Forever kind of having their last few weeks. We have seen Death on the Nile drop out with Doctor Strange coming. That was to be expected. But next week, Jackass Forever should be knocked off basically by The Bad Guys. And we'll see if The Bad Guys will pass up Dog and Morbius on this, next week to see if it can make its way towards the Scream 5 amount. That'll be fun to see where The Bad Guys ranks overall after its run. But we're we're getting near the start of the summer box office season, so a lot of these movies that are 5 and below are not going to be on here come end of July and August. I bet that's my prediction. All right. Now, worldwide, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was able to put itself on this chart pretty high, but it wasn't the number two that I was thinking, and it wasn't the number two that we saw domestically. It's at 450 million worldwide. It should pass the Batman here in the next couple weeks, I imagine. Again, no real competition coming out until Top Gun 2. But we see the Batman leading this list currently underneath the Battle of Lake Changchin 2, a Chinese movie that had over $600 million just domestically in China. Uncharted coming in very strong. It's not going to make 400 million, but it was able just to get just enough to edge it past Too Cool to Kill, another Chinese release, to take the number 4 spot temporarily. Fantastic Beasts worldwide is still kind of supporting the movie financially. I don't think it'll get close to number 4 or number 5 at the moment, but this chart looks a lot better than the previous one domestically. Sonic the Hedgehog, I think we see worldwide, is not attracting enough of the audience to have it catch Fantastic Beasts. So worldwide, it's gonna stick around number 6 and number 7 here currently. It'll stay in the top 10 for a little while, but again, just like the previous movies, I think this is gonna be falling off the top 10 worldwide films before the year ends. A Nice View, another Chinese movie coming in just over 200 million. It has a wide gap between it, Morbius, and The Lost City. Maybe The Lost City can catch Morbius. I don't think it will. But these movies in 8, 9, and 10 only have about 2 or 3 weeks before they get off this chart, and we start seeing new things come out. But yeah, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness made a lot of money this weekend, and I don't want to. There's no downplaying that. Disney is happy with just under $500 million worldwide, just under $200 million domestically. Fans went out and to see it in Marvel, and with a lot of trailers coming out that are going to be popular this summer, and we have a huge movie slate that's kind of been pushed back and delayed over the past year and a half, that we're getting kind of back in the box office season, and I think we're going to see the best movies rise, and we're going to start seeing bad movies fall. So it's not as I don't think it'll be as simple as you make a blockbuster and it'll be a hit, but we won't exactly see where the big blockbuster cycle is going to be like until Top Gun Maverick comes out, until Jurassic World comes out. Obviously, Thor: Love and Thunder, but some movies I'm looking forward to coming out this summer that I'm interested to see what it does in the box office would be movies like Elvis, movies like Thor: Love and Thunder, obviously. Jurassic World, Dominion, kind of the finale they're talking about. I was not a fan of the second Jurassic World movie. I think it was very, very bad, and it really had a bad audience and word of mouth. So I'm wondering how many people are going to go back to the theaters opening weekend and to see this movie, and how good of a movie it's going to be. Where is Doctor Verse and the Multiverse of Madness going to end up? Is it going to push up into that $1 billion club for Marvel, like we saw before the pandemic, or are we going to have another situation? Are we going to have a situation where maybe word of mouth is not strong enough to support this movie hitting that $1 billion amount? Either way, we'll track it here week to week on the box office report. If you like this video, do the whole like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts. Check out my other reviews that I've had here recently. Multiverse of Madness I put out. Everything Everywhere All at Once is one of my most popular. It's literally my most popular video ever. Check out that review. Any of these movies that you see on this list besides the Chinese movies or Memory and Too Cool to Kill, you can find a review of this year. And we have a couple movies coming out next week that I'm excited about. Last thing I'll leave you with, on Wednesday, I'm going to release a new show that'll be coming out every Wednesday, where I will do rankings of things as we go on. So my first big project, since we had the Multiverse of Madness come down, is a ranking of the Marvel shows and movies. How I will do that is this week, I will break down the 6 Marvel shows that we've had so far and rank them number 6 that I like the least and number 1 that I like the most. And it kind of gives me a pseudo way to review those shows, as well as a new show, Moon Knight. And then after that, we will kind of break down, over the next 4 weeks after that, the 28 Marvel movies that have came out. And we'll break that down, going from my least favorite all the way up to my most popular favorite as we go on. So I'll probably break that into 4 separate weeks. And we'll have a good time doing that. And I'm looking forward to see where my opinions differ from people, and where other people would rank movies and who might agree with me. But I think it'll be surprising. I think everybody's Marvel list is so personal and surprising, but I'm looking forward to starting that series and starting it with something easy like the MCU and finding different categories as we go on. So check that out Wednesday. If you stayed here to the end, again, I thank you so much. If you enjoy the content, like I said, if you could leave a subscription, that's awesome. I'm going to see if I can push up to the 25 to 50 by the end of the summer, and see if I can get this channel kind of moving into a way where I might be able to make this into something where I can in a couple years turn this into something where I can make some money off of down the line. But until then, I hope all the mothers had an excellent Mother's Day. I'm waiting to hear what my mom says about the Lost City. And my sister, I wish I could have been there with them, but I lived way too far away. But all the mothers, happy Mother's Day. I look forward to seeing you guys here in the next week with a couple different reviews I have, with the first ranking show on Wednesday and then next week's box office report. But until then, stay safe, enjoy the weather, and have a good day.